The 2024 race can't come fast enough, and unfortunately and accurately for President Biden, he's seen some of the worst poll numbers of his presidency. A new AP poll finds 61% of Americans disapprove of the job he's doing, with only 38% approving. That is near an all-time historical low. But who's surprised? The same poll finding nearly 80% of Americans say the country is going in the wrong direction. That is a 60% drop since Biden's inauguration. Hegseth, what do you make of the lack, clearly, of unification and, what was it, hope?
Yeah, the adults were going to be in the room. Normalcy was going to be back.
Right.
Those are really bad numbers. No one would want to run for re-election on those numbers. Things on the horizon don't look like they'll be getting any better. The southern border is as bad as it's ever been, but they're up on the northern border. It's like everything you should be caring about, you're not caring about. We've driven the Sunnis and Shias together, as we just talked about, which we haven't done in 1,300 years. I mean, the failures mount on top of each other. Voters are not dumb. Their lives are more difficult, whether it's violence in cities that they don't feel like they can go to anymore, or states they need to flee, or schools where their kids are being indoctrinated. Every part of, or their wallets where there's just nothing left. Every part of their life isn't better. Biden knows this. The administration knows this. They made a deal with the devil in the far left from the very beginning, went all in on a leftist agenda. It hasn't worked because leftist ideas don't work. They'll attempt to manufacture another go at it, I think. I mean, who else is going to run unless they're really stringing this out because they don't want to be a lame duck, and then he'll ultimately step aside, which is what he should do. Everyone around him knows that, but they won't.
That's right. And so to that question, who else will run? Now there's reports, Kaylee, that the president is not as happy about the performance of his vice president, seemingly probably observing her absolute failure in that office. So he says, via a former White House official telling Reuters, quote, "I think his running for re-election is less about her and more about him. But I do think that she and the Democratic bench are a factor." Another former White House official says a point of tension in their relationship is that I don't think the president sees her as somebody who takes anything off his plate. I wonder why. Adding that a fear of messing up had led Harris to be late to the game on important issues. You know, someone, Kaylee, that is afraid of messing up, I vouch would be someone who lacks experience and confidence because they haven't had something to draw on.
Right, and I don't blame Biden for being frustrated with his vice president. The guy probably just wants to take a nap, and yet he's playing cleanup for Kamala all the time because she can't be trusted to do anything right. And it's amazing. You're handed this pretty job as vice president for doing nothing other than being the first black female vice president that Biden could get his hands on. And she can't get anything right. Politics can't be that difficult of a job. But she messed up the border. She messed up all of her foreign relations assignments. And so what is she doing? She's just trying to avoid the camera at this point.
Yeah. And Dagan, in terms of the economy as well, you know, Americans deeply feel it, as Pete said, every day at their kitchen table, at their wallets. And they have shown up to the polls saying that 68% of Americans disapprove of President Biden's handling of the economy. Just 31% approve. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, it's going to get a whole lot worse because inflation crushes working men and women. We know that. And so the Federal Reserve has spiked interest rates in the last year like we've never seen before. So what is as the cracks start to appear, what is the first thing that Joe Biden and company do when a bank fails? They rescue the rich depositors. They bailed out sophisticated companies that didn't need bailing out, the depositors, and rich folks. That's their move, and they won't be able to fix the undoing that is yet to come. And Janet Yellen can't even get her story straight, whether they're going to offer a blanket coverage for depositors at other banks or not. She's been back and forth 3 times just this week on that very thing. But today in the Wall Street Journal, companies big and small lose access to credit amid bank stress. By the end of this year, we're going to see a recession that makes 2008, that financial crisis, look like a blip. And these dopes in Washington will have no way of handling it. And I feel sorry for the American people, but the only choice will be to just clear them out and get new people in.
I literally want to hide under the bed until 2024. Is that bad?
Yes, no, it's not. I think voters want to hide with you because only 21% say we're on the right track. I mean, think about 21%. That's abysmally low. He's lost 30 points on the economy, to Dagan's point, 11 points on foreign policy, lost 11 points on climate change even. So one of his signature issues. But what's interesting is Biden's blame pointing. So it sounds like behind the scenes, these aides are coming out and saying that he's not happy with Kamala. Well, another quote from an aide was a quote about getting Kamala off the ticket. The verbate was this: I think this is actually one of the fundamental strategic challenges for Biden, how to navigate this. It's almost impossible for them to make a change, meaning a change on the ticket. Imagine if you're Kamala being called one of the fundamental strategic challenges, like as your vice president. So he's pointing and saying she's the problem, but I have news for Joe. You're part of the problem too. Kamala's not great, not a shining spot of the administration, but neither are you, Mr. Commander-in-Chief.
You know what that makes me think of? Buyer's remorse. And you know that legal phrase, caveat emptor, it means, the onus is on the buyer. Buyer beware, essentially. Mm-hmm. This is what they got. And he should have checked what's behind the boxes that he checked.
Yeah, a competency box.
Exactly, because now it's a little bit too late. Sorry, not sorry, Biden. Hey everyone, I'm Emily Compagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.